Who has God Almighty commissioned to take care of your children? Let me give you a clue. You. This is the voice of resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
Welcome to the program, friend. It is I, your servant, Randall. We are broadcasting from Memphis, Tennessee, because one of our children has cancer and he's being treated at St. Jude Children's Hospital. We thank God for that great institution, and we ask you to please pray for him. His name is Michael. If disaster struck, whether it was a terrorist attack, whether it was something military, there are so many scenarios that we've all heard about for many, many years. Could be just a really bad storm. Could be what do they call it, an act of God. How ready are you? I'm a dad. I've got children that I'm responsible to take care of. And that responsibility doesn't just mean that I have a job and I give my wife a check to go to the grocery store. What if the grocery store doesn't have any food? What if there's some type of a disaster that keeps food shipments from reaching the community where I live or where you live? What will we do then? There are steps that we can take that are not outrageously expensive. And by the way, we don't sell any of this stuff, okay? We are not trying to sell you anything. Nothing. We're trying to be a servant to you and to your family, to give you some ideas, and you can take a look at them and you can decide what things you think, yeah, I can do this and I should do this, or, well, no, I really can't afford that, or for some reason I'm not ready to do that now. Listen to the information and then ask yourself, if some type of disaster were to strike, am I ready at any level? And then if you're not, take the steps that you can take so that your family will be okay if something bad happens. Enjoy the series. Welcome to today's program, friend. We are in the middle of a multi-part series called Be Prepared. If you have watched this television show for any time, if you have followed my public work over the years, if you've participated with me in any pro-life events, you know that I am not an end-of-the-world, doom and gloom type of person. However, I believe the sacred scriptures, the Holy Bible. I believe in the laws of God. And I believe that that which a nation sows, it will reap. Yesterday, we spent the entire program discussing why we are in danger as a nation and why I believe it's inevitable that hard times are coming. If you missed that show, I encourage you to go to our website, voiceofresistance.com, and watch it, because I will not spend much time on the content for the rest of this series. What we want to talk about as we seek to assess if we are prepared for difficult times coming are the 6 B's. Now, these have been compiled, and there's various versions of them, the 4 G's, etc. We're going to focus on the 6 B's over the next few days, and those B's are our beliefs, bread, bandages, bullion, bullets, and every teenager's favorite, the bug-out bag. So, let's begin. First of all, if there is no God in heaven, and there is no direct correlation between blessing and obedience to his laws and punishment or cursing or difficult times because a nation has rejected his laws, then let's just forget about it, all right? No cause and effect. Do what you want. Live like heck. What difference does it make? However, if there is a God in heaven, what would he have us do? What would he have us not do? Part of our belief structure is that, as Christians, is that God has given us a duty to take care of our children, and he's given us a duty to take care of our elderly parents. All right? Both of those are fundamental to the Christian faith as that faith is lived out in the world's first church, the family. All right? What does being prepared, what do our beliefs have to do with that? Well, if I believe that my children are my duty and my elderly parents are my duty, then my goal as a Christian man, a Christian son, a Christian dad, a Christian husband, is to be prepared. All right? So the beliefs that we have are foundational to everything we are going to discuss. Be prepared for what? Hard times, for difficulty. What is the single most important thing of this world that you can have, that you have to have in order to survive? Right? The first is oxygen. Without oxygen, the human being dies in 4 to 6 minutes. All right? Thankfully, they haven't figured out a way to rob us of our oxygen supply. All they can do is pollute it. But we're working on that. We have some of the best emissions in the world. We're not even on the top 25 for the world's worst air polluters. So for the sake of today's discussion, we are going to presume that our air supply is safe, except to say this. If a nuclear bomb does go off somewhere, a dirty bomb, just have some iodine around, all right, non-toxic iodine, and you can take some iodine pills, and that'll keep your thyroid from becoming poisoned by the atomic fallout. And by the way, you can look for all of this online and research, look at everything that I'm talking about. One of the key reasons we're doing this series is not to provide you with all the answers. It's to start to stir you up to ask the right questions. And it's also not to sell you anything. Look at what my good buddy has provided for me. These are dehydrated apples, okay? If I was hungry, they would taste really good. When we come back from this break, sorry for getting out of the shot lane, we'll take a look at this bad boy. This is a Berkeley water purifier. And guess how much we're selling this Berkeley water purifier for, or how much we're selling the dehydrators for? We're not selling them at all. What we're going to discuss in this series, we are not selling, okay? We have one sponsor for this show that is even remotely connected to food, and that's Paula's Bread, selling the wheat meal that my wife and I own. So when we come back, we will start with B, bread, the B bread, the bread for B. Why do I feel like I'm starting to get tongue-tied over B? B&B, a bed and breakfast? Never mind the bed, just the breakfast, baby. You can sleep on the ground, but if you ain't got no bacon and eggs, you're gonna be hungry. I'll take a break, don't go away.
Hey, everyone's been asking me, when's Unstoppable coming out on DVD? Well, it's here. And I have created my own deluxe signature version of Unstoppable that contains not only the movie, but over 5 hours of additional curriculum and study guides for your family. It's perfect for your homeschool, educational facility, small group Bible study, and family devotions. And I'm going to share with you some of the spiritual warfare that surrounded the release of this film. This box set also includes extended scenes, new music videos, the inside scoop on the whole Facebook controversy. So what are you waiting for? I made this special version with my family in mind, and I know your family will be blessed by it too. Unstoppable 2.0 Deluxe Signature Version, available only here at KurtCameron.com. I can't wait for you to experience what's inside.
Welcome back, friend. All right, hard times are coming, I believe it. And by the way, if they don't come, if I'm completely wrong, all right, so what? What harm is it for you to be prepared against difficult times? Guess what I don't want to use? I don't want to use my house insurance. I don't want to use my car insurance. I certainly don't want to use my life insurance, all right? But I've invested in them in case difficulties or a crisis or an accident or, God forbid, even death happens, okay? So that my family is taken care of. My family members are okay. The most important thing, and I got to go one other place. I've got to take you on a quick trip to Detroit before we talk about water. Do you realize what has happened in the city of Detroit could begin to happen all over the country? Not just neighborhoods are abandoned. skyscrapers are abandoned. Look at these pictures. In 1950, Detroit was the 5th largest city in the nation, all right? It was humming, baby, anchored in the auto industry. Had 1.8 million people. With the 2010 census, 700,000 are all that live there anymore. 700,000. That's a 60% decline. 50% of Detroit is unemployed right now. And you want to talk about racial tensions. All right? Racial tensions still exist. Thank God they're nothing like they used to be. But in 1950, 16% of Detroit was African American, 83% Caucasian, 1% other. In 2010, total inverse, 83% African American, 10% white, 7% other. With the Rodney King verdict in Los Angeles many years ago, we saw a virtual meltdown of that city. Violence, communities burned to the ground, neighborhoods rather, people shot and killed. I had an acquaintance of mine, a good Christian man who was beaten to death, died of his injuries, who had just gone out into the street to try and bring calm and to preach Christ. Killed. This example of Detroit, if you see the pictures, it looks like a third world city. This could begin to happen all over the country as our economy continues to melt down, as the dollar continues to fade. And we're going to talk later on in one of the other shows about bullion. We're going to talk about the dollar. But friend, there are difficult times coming, and we need to be prepared. All right, so as I said in the last segment, the number one thing we need is oxygen. We're not going to pretend that oxygen could go away. Let's focus on, or if it goes away, then we're all dead, all right? If a nuke goes off, have some iodine pills that are safe for human consumption, and the air will not kill you. But after air itself, the most important thing we need to survive is water, okay? You can go days and even weeks without food, but 3-4 days, you're going to die without water. So, if you live in a city, where does your water come from? The faucet. Right. It comes from a central water supply. And if for some reason that water supply fails to deliver water, what will you do? You're looking right now at a 55-gallon drum. It comes with a couple of accoutrements. It costs about $100, okay? 55 gallons of water will get you through a tough scrape. All right? It will. It just will. To my left here is this the Big Berkey or the Royal Berkey?
Royal Berkey.
The Royal Berkey. The Royal Berkey. Do I have to take a break? All right, let me take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about this big bad Berkey and what it might do for you in a moment of crisis. And as I said, we don't sell the big Berkey. We just want you to be ready, to be prepared if tough times come. And if you take my advice on some of this, and all hell breaks loose in your community, and you or your family survive because of it, you'll thank God that you got to see this show and it provoked you to love and good works. But any family members or friends that you save who might have mocked you along the way, they're going to thank you as much as Noah's kids thanked him when he had the foresight to follow God, obey God, and to build the ark against the difficulties of the flood. Be prepared. I'll be right back. When I was a prisoner in a prison work camp in Alpharetta, Georgia, I had a lot of time on my hands to research who the bad guys were in the death of our culture. And I wrote Accessory to Murder. It is an overview of our political, cultural, media, and religious adversaries that are accomplices to the death of our culture. I encourage you, get a copy of this and learn the who's who of the bad guys. We have put together what we call an online university for you. Now that's a highfalutin way of saying that we have a pretty significant library of material, books, tapes, videos, that are there for you for free. Why are we doing this? Because America is desperate for new leaders, and because this material could help you to become the leader that you and God want you to be. Check it out and enjoy it. Welcome back, friend. One of the reasons that we are in more danger today than we were, say, during the Great Depression, or when during the time framework of the Great Depression, we had that 7-year drought out west. 7 years of drought, all right? If you've ever seen any TV special on it or read about it, it was unbelievable what happened. The difference between now and then is that we were basically a Christian culture at that point. People were not looting. People were not killing their neighbor to get their television sets or their water supply, whatever. I mean, the nation held together because it had Christian underpinnings, honor, duty, love of God, love of neighbor. That doesn't exist today, okay? It simply is gone in our large cities. Some of our small communities still have it. But you have to understand that if there was a crisis in the water supply, a city pool, for example, could become a gun zone. Because if people are thirsty, they're going to go to the YMCA or they're going to go to the pools to get drinking water, all right, just to survive. And if it's not in the hands of the right people, there will be violence, there will be bloodshed in pursuit of water. And my wife and I have been talking about this, trying to figure out a way to say it. And I don't know the way to say it, but I'm going to say it. Please at least consider, if it's possible, I know for some of you it's not possible, but if it's possible, you may want to consider, if you live in a major city, just relocating a little bit outside the city. All right? If you're absolutely anchored to a job there, I've got a good friend who works in the DC area, lived in Northern Virginia, and just recently bought a house an hour away. So he has to commute now an hour, but he lives in the middle of nowhere, and he's loving it. And if there's a meltdown in DC and in Northern Virginia, hey, he and his family are safe, okay? And that's why he did it. Plain and simple. All right, let's go to the big Berkey, the Royal Berkey. This is a carbon filter. Now, this unit is probably between $200 and $300. But the truth of the matter is, you could pour pond scum in this, pond water, literally pour pond water, get water out of a creek or a river. Put an old t-shirt on top of it, all right, to get rid of any debris, pour it through the t-shirt, and then it'll soak through these carbon filters, charcoal filters for all intents and purposes. And what you pour out of the spigot then is totally healthy drinking water. And guess what you don't do? Die of dehydration. Guess what you get to do? Live. This other thing you see, the water bob, it's a lot less money than, that's probably 25 bucks for the water bob. If you know that there is a crisis coming, if there's about to be a water cutoff, you can fill your bathtub, all right? You could certainly live for quite a few days off the water in your bathtub. You could be putting a 55-gallon drum at your water spout if you have your own home, all right? If you live in an apartment building, you don't have a water spout, more than likely. And, well, that's another show, the bug out bag. I need to take a break again. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about bread, which includes water. But your bug out bag might be your best friend one day. If something goes terribly wrong, many people simply have to have the will and the foresight to get in the car and go now and not look back, like Lot and his wife and his 2 daughters. And unfortunately, Lot's wife looked back. I'll be right back. Don't go away. One of the greatest joys and passions that I have had for almost my entire life is music. And one of the best times that I had was putting together some albums in Nashville of songs that I wrote. One of the albums is called Dark Sunglasses Day. This is a country album, a lot of love songs and patriotic music. We've made it available to you online, and I hope that you'll go take a listen. You might be pleasantly surprised. You might even find yourself singing along. Do you want to have knowledge, wisdom, discernment? If so, you have to read good books on theology, history, books that look at the lives of great men and women. So to help you to become a more effective Christian, a better witness for truth, somebody who can engage in productive conversation that exhorts and edifies those that you speak with, we're going to do something crazy. We're offering you these 7 books for a gift of any size. You just pay for the shipping and handling, and then give whatever gift that you can, and we will send them to you. But just to make it a little bit more crazy, I will send you a second copy of my 3 books, autographed. You can give them as a gift to your pastor or to a family member and help extend truth and justice in the world. This is while supplies last. Give us this day our daily bread. It's part of the Lord's Prayer or the Our Father, wherever you come from theologically. Where does our daily bread come from? From the grocery store. Where else? It comes from grain. It comes from wheat. And we, my wife and I, by the way, this is the only place in this whole series where you could even remotely say we have a conflict of interest, because one of our sponsors is Paula's Bread. My wife and I own the Bosch mixer and the Equip Nutrimill. The Nutrimill is what actually takes hard wheat berries and grinds them up and makes them into flour. I'm not even putting it out here today, putting up the competitor. I think that the product that we own is better, but this is actually a really cool product. Country Living Grain Mill. What you're seeing here is about $800, all right? You pour wheat in it. And by the way, why am I even going into this? Because if hard times come, you've got to eat, all right? We dealt with our water in our last segment, and now you're going to need food. Bread, just bread, will keep you alive for weeks and months. If you simply put a dough enhancer in it, which has vitamin C, you can literally live for months, even years, just on our daily bread, all right? This particular unit is about $800. It's the Country Living Grain Mill, and it works great as long as you've got electricity. So does ours. If the electricity goes out, with this particular model, you can attach your handy dandy handle. Put it in, and then you begin to crank it by hand. Now, there we go, crank the wheat. Now with the one that my wife and I own, we don't have the ability to convert it into a manually operated one, so what we have is a hand-cranked wheat mill. You can get them for as cheap as $50, you can get them for $200. You've seen these different pictures here. You get what you pay for. Some of them are better than others, and it all has to do with the strength of the gears, how much work you have to put in it, and how they attach to a countertop. All of that to say this: a 50-pound bag of wheat, all right, you can get for under $25. A 50-pound bag of wheat you can get for under $25. We make our bread. We have made our own bread for over 5 years now. We make it for less than $1 a loaf. And we start with raw wheat berries, and 2 hours later have piping hot, fresh bread with no additives, nothing taken out of it, nothing bleached out of it, and it fills you like you can't believe. That's pretty inexpensive eating if there's an economic crisis. So besides dealing with your water, one of the most important things that I would encourage you to do is to look at various options for making your own bread. All right, as long as you've got heat and you've got the ingredients, you can live a long time. I'm out of time. We're going to pick up right where we left off tomorrow morning in the next show. We'll start with Prego, okay? I am not selling the Prego, just eating. I hope that you're enjoying the information we're giving you. This is a part of a 5-part series. If you missed any of the parts, you can go to our website and watch the episodes for free. And again, we're not selling any of these items there. This is a service to you so that you can be prepared should something really bad happen. God bless you.
you.